Anger boiled inside her, and she shook her head. I have done nothing to any of you, but you all choose to cause me pain, especially you, Chima. One day, I promise you all, you will kneel before me and beg for my forgiveness. You will see. She turned and stormed off angrily. The others sat there and laughed so hard that tears came out from their eyes. Very many years ago, there lay a big, beautiful village named Amani. Amani stood out, not just for its size, but for its abundance. The land was fertile, yielding bountiful harvests year after year. The air was fresh, its people were joyful, and lived in peace. In that village, among these people lived a man named Dicki and his beautiful wife Uloma, whom he loved so much. Dicki was a very wealthy man who owned vast acres of lands farmed by his numerous paid laborers. He was not only wealthy, he was respected. His barns were always full with produce, and buyers traveled from far and wide just to do business with him. And most importantly, he was blessed with a big family. Dicki was a proud father of 2 healthy sons and 5 beautiful daughters. His sons were just as strong and hardworking as their father, and as they grew, they started to gradually take their place and handle their father's business. They were so good looking and manly that every girl dreamed of being married to them. Of course, they had money. Dicki's sons were the whole package, nothing missing. His daughters, on the other hand, were something else. They were a different story entirely. Yes, they were very beautiful, and they were fully aware of it. They carried themselves with so much grace and poise that Dicki could not help but be proud of them. He made sure that they lacked nothing. They wore the finest wrappers and beads, and like people who had no care in the world, their days were spent beautifying themselves, strolling and parading through the village like overfed peacocks. As sisters, they did everything together and were the envy of many women, the desire of countless men, and were fondly known throughout the land as Dicki's jewels. However, they were lazy, very, very, very lazy. But then, amongst all of Dicki and Uloma's daughters was one that they loved so dearly. She was the last of the 5 girls, their golden child, Olwoma. Besides being the youngest of them all, she was calm, kind-hearted, and free-spirited. She was also the most breathtaking, a beauty that seemed specially carved by God himself. But her beauty was not the best part of her. What really set Oloma apart was her spirit. Oloma was nothing like her sisters. She was very hardworking. In fact, the only one who would wholeheartedly take on the numerous house chores in the house, even without being told. And this made her very close to her parents. Unlike her sisters who thrived on admiration and vanity, Oloma was a different breed. She was humble, she was diligent and deeply devoted to her parents. She was the kind of daughter every mother prayed for and every father bragged about. She was the apple of their eyes, and they showered her with gifts. If her sisters received 1 wrapper, Oloma was gifted 2, sometimes 3, just because her father's heart swelled with pride at the sight of her, and she was her mother's right arm. Without Oloma, her mother Uloma could not really do much. As the sisters grew, it became very evident that Uloma was her parents' favorite child. Their father needed her opinion on several major matters concerning the home and most times even the farm. Their mother depended on her to get things done and was always confident that there would be results. Uloma knew where everything and anything in the house was. If you were searching for something you thought was lost, ask her. She had probably found it where it was carelessly dropped and returned it to where it should be. Uloma was their official messenger. Ollie, help me wash these clothes. Ollie, help me get some food. Ollie, I need hot bath water. Ollie, this. Ollie, that. And she attended to everyone's needs without complaining, not for a single day. She was down to earth, and every day her mother would compare her other sisters to her. Look at all of you, she would say, shamelessly parading yourselves all over the village. There is nothing any of you can do and do well. Look at Uloma, your small sister, very hardworking and smart. Does she have two heads? Why can't you people try to be like her, even a little? She never failed to remind the sisters of their laziness every single day. And as the days went by, Oloma's sisters started to grow envious. Their hearts turned bitter. Slowly, that bitterness turned into hatred, and they did not fail to show her how much they hated her. They called her a busybody, accused her of behaving like she was a good girl so that their parents would love her. Their attitude towards her changed overnight. In fact, it was as if they had all held a secret meeting because every single one of them changed at once. Nobody spoke to her anymore, and whenever she stepped into where they were gisting, the conversations stopped and the air would suddenly become hostile. Uloma noticed the change and started to wonder if she had done anything wrong to them. But then, no matter how much she thought about it, she could not remember anything significant. Uloma became very sad. The always smiling beauty became gloomy. She did what was expected of her daily, but there was no more joy in it. Amongst all her sisters, the one whose hate cut the deepest was her immediate elder sister, Chima. The pain cut deeper because they had once been so close. They shared the same room, always had something to talk about, and stayed up late each night, laughing into the night. They called themselves the last bonds of the family. But suddenly, jealousy had turned this love into something dark and ugly. Chima was worse, and somehow it was as if she controlled the mind of the others because they did whatever Chima wanted. She began to treat Uloma like a stranger, or worse, like an enemy. She stopped her from sleeping on the bed they once shared, ordering her to sleep on the cold bare floor instead. Innocent Uloma, ever gentle and respectful, obeyed without a word. She would quietly arrange some wrappers on the floor and sleep. She did not fight back. In fact, she did it hoping that maybe, just maybe, Chima's heart would soften again. Maybe her sister would look at her the way she used to. But the warmth and love never returned. The truth is that Chima used to be the center of attention before Uloma was born. Before Uloma came into the picture, Chima was the shining star of the family. She was the one everyone adored. The gifts were all hers. The biggest plate of food always placed in front of her. Her parents pampered her. Her elder brothers doted on her. And then, suddenly, Oloma came along. And as they grew, it was just so easy to love Oloma. You know, that child that never stressed you, that was Oloma. Chima watched as her little sister became everything she once was, and even more, and their mother was not making it any easier to swallow. It was like daggers pierced continuously into every inch of her soul. Day by day, the bitterness grew in her heart until it developed into a full-blown hatred. Chima wished Oloma had never been born. Oloma was surrounded by family, but in truth, she was completely alone. Her sisters made sure of that. This continued for a long time, and at a point, Oloma could not endure it anymore. She decided to confront her sisters. Maybe she could at least find out what the problem was. However, anytime she came close to where they were, her morale fell. She lost all the courage she had built. Then one day, she returned from the stream to meet them under the tree in front of their father's compound, laughing happily, gisting as they braided each other's hair. The moment Oloma came closer, they all became silent. So silent that if a pin dropped, I'm very sure that you would hear its sound. The most painful part was that her sisters did not even spare her a glance. It was as if she was invisible. This one broke Oloma's heart. Tears filled her eyes. She stood there for a few seconds and then dropped her water pot. What have I done to deserve this? Why are you people treating me like an outcast? What is my crime? What did I do? It was as if Chima had been waiting for this moment for a very long time, because the way she jumped up, you would think that there was an award for whoever hurt Oloma the most. She looked at Oloma with so much disdain. Finally, the princess has gotten the message. The precious golden child has finally become intelligent enough to see that nobody wants her here. Nkem the eldest tugged at her wrapper. Chima, stop. But Chima brushed off her hands. Leave me, Nkem. Someone has to tell her the truth. She turned her attention back to Oloma. You are the reason our parents don't care about us. You go around playing good girl, making us look bad. Every single time, all we hear is Oloma this, Oloma that. Why can't you all be like Oloma? Chima's eyes burned with rage. I know you enjoy it all. All the attention you receive gives you so much joy and satisfaction. But guess what? We don't care about you or all this show you are putting up. You can disappear for all we care. Those words struck like arrows. Oloma's mouth opened to say something and closed again. Not a single word was forming in her head. Oloma was naturally not much of a talker, and so she did not even know what to say or do. She quietly carried her water pot, and with eyes filled with tears, she walked away, barely feeling her legs move. For the rest of the day, Oloma did not leave her room. Chima's words continued to echo in her heart. It made her shrink back, recoil into her shell like a snail. Yet she could not bring herself to tell anyone, especially not her mother. She would not dare. She suffered in silence, torn between the love she had for her sisters and the pain they poured on her just because she existed. Who would save her? Was this how she was going to live under the shadow and hate of her sisters. Were they ever going to forgive her? Forgive her for what exactly, she thought. Should she stop being who she was because it pleased her parents and made her sisters unhappy? Night became Oloma's only escape. While everyone slept, she would quietly climb up to the roof of their house. Thankfully, her father was one of the few people in Amani who had built a brick house. The roof became her sanctuary. She would lay beneath the stars, staring up at the moon. It reminded her of the good old days of her grandmother's voice, telling stories to them under that same glowing sky. The night, though cold, held a strange kind of peace. It was the only time her heart felt free. The daytime was a nightmare, but the night was her safe place. She would just sit there and sing away her sorrows, let the pain flow through her tears, and somehow it helped her, give her some strength at least to face another day. Then one night, something happened that showed Oloma the true depth of her sister's hatred. That night, for the first time since anyone could remember, Chima, a whole Chima, volunteered to assist their mother in the kitchen in preparing the night's food. Oloma was surprised, but she was happy. She thought that her girls were now finally changing for good. Oloma too felt the same. The three of them prepared the food, and afterwards, their mother dished out the food. While Oloma cleaned up the kitchen, Chima offered to carry out everyone's food. The sisters were seated on the mat under the shade of the tree, like princesses, waiting for their food to arrive. Chima served all the food, including Oloma's own, and they all started eating. Oloma was excited that night. Her heart was filled with joy. She thought to herself that finally, her sisters had started to soften towards her. She finished her task in the kitchen and went to join them on the mat. When she reached there, she looked around. She could not find her food. Her sisters looked less concerned. They were all eating like nothing was happening. Chima, please, where's my food? She said calmly. Chima looked up. Oh, you are here. She pointed her hands towards something. That is your food. It fell and poured away. Sorry, eh? Without any more word, she turned and faced her food again. Just like that. Tears filled Oloma's eyes. Chima, I have not eaten anything since morning, and you poured my food away, knowing that there is nothing left in the pot. Why? Chima flared up. I poured your food, and so what? Do you want to go and tell mother and father so that they would scold us? She waved her hand nonchalantly. Pack up whatever is left and eat. If you cannot eat it, then go and sleep. Oloma looked around. The others were laughing as if Chude the village jester was performing live before them. Anger boiled inside her, and she shook her head. I have done nothing to any of you, but you all choose to cause me pain, especially you, Chima. One day, I promise you all, you will kneel before me and beg for my forgiveness. You will see. She turned and stormed off angrily. The others sat there and laughed so hard that tears came out from their eyes. Oloma ignored their wicked laughter and continued marching forward. That night, she lay on the roof under the moonlight, her stomach rumbling violently from hunger. Silent tears rolled down her cheeks. Her chest ached with so much pain, a pain so deep that she felt like she was going to burst. At that moment, all she could do was what she knew how to do best. She sang into the night, her voice filled with pain. Under the moon, I cry alone. In the hushed night, my tears are known. My mother bore me with the same hand, but in their eyes, I'm dust, not sand. Why do they cast me far away like I'm a curse they cannot say? My heart is filled with so much pain, and nothing can cleanse it, not even the rain. She sang. Her voice was so sweet and melodious, but it was filled with so much pain and the tears could not stop flowing. Suddenly, a voice broke the silence. Oloma, Ogini, what is wrong? She jumped at the sound, startled, heart pounding. It was Obina, her eldest brother, standing a few steps behind her. Quickly, she wiped her tears and sat up, forcing a shaky smile. I'm fine, brother, she said softly. But Obina knew her too well. Oloma was always cheerful, always full of life. He had noticed her quietness for a few weeks now and seen her come up the roof almost every night. He decided to come out tonight just to know what exactly happens here, and seeing her like this, alone and broken, shook him. His thoughts roamed around, but he could not come to a conclusion of what exactly was wrong with her. He did not press further. Instead, he quietly sat beside her, pulled her close, and wrapped his arms around her. She did not say another word, happy that her brother did not let curiosity get the best of him. He stayed with her until she fell asleep, but he knew very well, deep down, that something was not right. He had seen his sisters argue that night, and even though he had no idea what was being said or what the matter was, he suspected strongly that it had to do with why Oloma was up there, crying and singing such a sorrowful song. That night, Oloma had a dream. She was dressed so beautifully, seated on a throne in where looked very beautiful. She looked majestic, and there were people bowing down before her. Most of them she recognized as the people of Amani, but amongst them, she saw her sisters on their knees before her, and they were singing her praises. She woke up and sighed when she realized she had been dreaming. The dream made no sense to her, so she pushed it out of her mind and went back to sleep. Meanwhile, Obina could not sleep. Seeing Oloma, who always was bubbly and full of life, in such a state made him worried. He was convinced that something was seriously wrong somewhere, and he decided to discuss the matter with his father. The next day, Obina went to speak with their father in his room. He shared everything he knew with the father, and when he was finished, Dicki was stunned. He sat in silence for a moment, processing everything, and it all started to make sense to him. He had noticed that Oloma was unusually distant and no longer walked with her sisters, but he had brushed it off, thinking that she must have maybe found a new friend. Now he knew something was deeply wrong. Without delay, Dicki sent for his daughters, all 5 of them. The girls gathered in their father's room, and Dicki looked at them calmly and asked, "Is everything well with all of you?" Chima, the chief commander in charge of all the sisters' affairs, was the first to respond, wearing a calm, innocent face. She had an edge over Nkem because Nkem was a quiet type. "All is well, Papa," she said. "Why do you ask?" Their father kept his gaze on Chima. "Your brother has brought it to my knowledge that he saw you, Chima, and your sister, Oluoma, having an argument last night, and the rest of you sat there doing nothing. Afterwards, he finds Oluoma on the rooftop, alone, and crying her eyes out. Now tell me, what exactly happened?" Chima shook her head. "It's nothing serious, Papa. We just had an argument, like sisters." Nkem quickly nodded in agreement. They both turned to Oluoma with eyes that spoke louder than words. A cold, sharp warning. "Don't you dare speak." Oluoma swallowed hard, lowered her gaze and whispered, "We are fine, Papa. It was nothing serious." But Obina was not buying it. His voice rose with frustration as he turned to Nkem and Chima. "How can you say everything is fine when your sister cries herself to sleep on the rooftop every night? You Nkem, are her older sister, and you should protect her." Obina yelled, pointing his fingers to all of them. Oloma's heart sank. She urged him to stop in her mind, because unknown to Obina, his words, though filled with love, were heaping hot coals for her to work on by blaming her sisters. But Obina kept ranting and yelling. His father joined him, and Oloma knew she was done for. Then surprisingly, Chima stepped forward and gave a sheepish smile. "We are sorry, Papa. From now on, we will do better." And then she reached for Oluoma's arm, gently pulling her close with a fake, tender smile. "I'm sorry, Oli. I did not know that our fight yesterday would hurt you so bad. Please forgive me," she said sweetly and hugged her. Oluoma was confused about the sudden change of heart. Even Nkem was stunned. The other 2 sisters, Anole and Anwole, were just there, those ones. They had no care in the world. Whatever goes for them. They had nothing to say. They had nothing to do. They were just what we call "oh yes" members. Nkem was just standing there, watching them in confusion as Chima embraced Oluoma, still smiling very sweetly. The brief meeting ended and everyone returned to whatever they were doing. Nkem could not take it. With a scoff, she stormed out. And once they had gone far enough, she dragged Chima to the back of the house. What was that about, Chima? If you were going to forgive that girl this quickly, why start all the drama in the first place? Chima laughed. Nkem, you surprise me. It is as if you don't know me. I had to do that so that Papa and Brother Obina will let us be. Don't worry. When the time is right, we will show that girl Pepe. Nkem smiled. I thought as much. See the way they were shouting just because Oluoma was crying. It was so annoying. Leave everything to me, Nkem. I have it under control. Don't worry, she won't even know what hit her when we strike. From that day, things seemed to have returned to normal. Oluoma, though confused, allowed herself to feel a sliver of peace. something she had not experienced in a long time. She did not understand what had changed, but she was tired, and so she went with the flow. Unknown to her, Chima was just waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The battle was far from over. One cool evening, the girls were instructed to go to the farm and harvest some maize for dinner. Normally, Oloma was the one who went on such errands alone. But maybe to prove that they had changed, her sisters followed without extra push. As the girls made their way to their father's farm, Oloma had an unexpected encounter, one that would change everything, maybe for better, or perhaps for worse. They were halfway down the path when Prince Nnamdi, the crown prince of Amansi, and his escorts happened to be passing through. He was tall, graceful, and very handsome, dressed in royal robes that shined under the sun. His presence alone commanded attention. Chima's heart skipped. This had always been her dream, to one day stand beside the prince as his bride, to be respected and feared all over the land when she became queen. But every time she saw him, it was always either from a distance or at a village festival. Now she was going to meet him face to face, and then she would shoot her shots. As the prince approached, his eyes locked onto Oloma, and shy Oloma was dazzled by his charm. Her heart fluttered, and for a moment the world around her fell silent. The world seemed to slow down. She could only see Prince Nnamdi. Chima was too busy to notice this silent exchange. She quickly handed her farm tools to Oloma, pushed up her clothing slightly to reveal more of her cleavage, and hurried forward, hips swaying, a smile stretched across her face. She introduced herself to the prince without being asked, and went on and on, listing her family's name and influence in the village, hoping to impress him. But the prince's attention never left Oloma. When Chima finally paused, waiting for his response, Prince Nnamdi smiled politely and asked, "Who is she?" nodding in Oloma's direction. Chima froze. Her wide smile melted into a stunned frown. Was he not listening to her? Was he not seeing her? From behind, the other sisters burst into a loud, uncontrollable laughter. They couldn't hide their amusement. Still, Chima forced a smile, then turned toward her sister. "This is my sister, Oloma." The prince patted her shoulder and thanked her as he wooed his little sister and walked to where Oloma was standing. Chima stood speechless. Before you knew what was happening, the prince and Oloma were both talking, and the next thing, Oloma was giggling at whatever it is he was saying. At that moment, Chima became what she hated the most. She became invincible, like she was not there. She started boiling, her fists clenched. Nkem, sensing danger in Chima's body language, quickly grabbed her arm and pulled her aside, whispering, "Leave them be, Chima. Let's go before you do something mad." "Why? Why must she get everything?" Chima retorted sharply. Nkem shook her head. "Don't be dramatic, Chima. You know that the Prince Nnamdi is not your age mate. You are 3 years older than he is, and there is no way anything can even come out of whatever you are imagining." Chima knew that Nkem was making sense, but still, she was boiling inside. Nkem and the other two continued their journey, still fuming. Chima followed. Oloma and the prince, they did not even notice the others had left. For the first time in months, she had a good conversation. A conversation where she did not have to be cautious about what she had to say. They walked side by side, talking as if they had known each other for a very long time. As they passed through the villagers watched from afar, whispering among themselves. And no one could deny it. They looked perfect together. Oloma was already carried away. She did not even realize that they had walked all the way to the river, sat on the rock by the riverbank, overlooking the big water. Time disappeared without any of them realizing it. Oloma had totally forgotten the errand she was supposed to be running. It was only when darkness started to fall that she realized how late it had gotten. She suddenly looked up and panic gripped her. Her father would be furious and her mother would be worried. She jumped to her feet. "My prince, I'm sorry, but I have to go." Without waiting for his response, she turned on her heels and ran, heart pounding, not even stopping to say goodbye. The prince called after her, but it was useless. She had gone very far. He stood there, watching her disappear down the path. And he told himself there and then that no matter what, he was going to see her again. Meanwhile, Chima was still burning all the way to the farm and back. Every step home fed the fire in her chest. Her jealousy had grown so bad. She did not care about what Nkem had said earlier, even though she knew that it was the truth. She knew that Prince Nnamdi could not be hers because a woman should not be older than her husband. The fact that Oloma had captured his attention made her angry. If it was any other maiden, she would deal with it, but not Oloma. In fact, anyone but Oloma could have him. Chima, burning with jealousy, marched home ahead of everyone. Her footsteps thundered across the compound as she headed straight for where Dicki sat beneath the udala tree, sipping palm wine and discussing with the fellow elder. "Papa," she said, dragging him aside, urgency in her voice. "We need to talk. There is fire on the mountain." Dicki adjusted his wrapper. "What fire? Talk about what?" Sensing the tension, the elder rose, said something to Dicki and disappeared. Dicki frowned, wiping his mouth. "Chima, what is going on? What is the problem?" Chima folded her hand, bent her head slightly and began. "Papa, you know I don't talk too much." Dicki raised an eyebrow. You don't talk too much. I hear you. Say what brought you here." Chima exhaled dramatically. "Papa, it's Oloma, your beloved last born. Papa, I did not want to say anything, no. But I cannot keep quiet and watch this family's name be dragged into the mud." Dicki's eyes narrowed. "What happened?" Chima sniffed and continued. "Papa, you will not believe what I'm about to tell you. Oloma was with the prince." Dicki's eyes widened. "The prince? The prince of Amani?" "Yes, Papa," she cried. "They were hiding near the bush by the village path, laughing and touching each other. The prince even removed his wrapper and lay it on the ground for her to sit in broad daylight, Papa. In broad daylight, they were just there messing up. And when we tried to call her away, to caution her, you needed to see the way she insulted us. She refused to follow us to the farm today, and up till now, we have not seen her. She's still not back. Dicki gasped. Oluoma, messing about in the bush with the prince. Insulted her elder sisters. Are you sure it's the Oluoma that I know? Chima turned away and bit her finger. Chai, Papa, you have not even heard the most painful part. The worst was that when we tried to caution her and told her that you would be angry, she mocked you. She mocked you, Papa. Mocked me. How? Chima nodded. She said that she's tired of you monitoring her every move, that you are an old man with nothing but yams, and that very soon she will be dancing in the palace with her prince. She said that she will soon be free of you and mother, treating her like a servant. Dicki's face darkened. Papa, if you think I'm telling lies, ask Kanole, ask Anwale, ask Nkem. They were all there. You can ask anyone in the village. Everyone saw them together today. And imagine, people were watching. People were saying that your daughter is throwing herself at a man who has not even paid a bride price. The women from the stream, even Mama Okoro's deaf son, stopped to stare at them. She paused, then whispered, Papa, some people were even saying that she may already be carrying something. It was such a shameful show. It was a very shameful thing today. We were so embarrassed. Dicki's entire body stiffened. Each word sank deeper into his heart. He did not want to believe it, not his Oluoma. But the mention of the gossip, of shame, lit a dangerous fire in him. His jaw clenched and his eyes darkened. Dicki was a very respected man. He valued many things, but his reputation stood above all. The thought of being a subject of village whispers was unbearable. Nkem watched silently as Chima spoke. Her stomach turned. She knew Chima was twisting the truth. When Dicki finally dismissed her, she pulled Chima aside. Do you know what you've just done, Chima? You know Papa's anger. Oloma's heart won't survive what's coming. Chima shrugged. And how is that my business? Nkem, she should have stayed in her place. If she had stayed, all this would not have happened. Chima, Nkem said, I've told you before to leave this matter alone. There is no way on earth that the prince will decide to marry you. You are older than he is. Chima was not listening. She frowned. I don't care, Nkem. He can choose whoever he wants in this village. Anyone but Oluoma. Meanwhile, Oluoma returned home, her heart dancing with joy. Her steps were light. Her cheeks were flushed with happiness. Her time with Prince Nnamdi played over and over in her mind like a sweet song. And then, like a light switch, she remembered her dream from nights ago. A dream she now felt had begun to come true. Immediately she entered her father's compound. There stood her father, pacing around. He looked angry. She knew he would be. And then to lighten the mood, she wore her best smile as she walked towards him. That always worked. Her voice was already forming the words. Papa, you wouldn't believe. But Dicki raised his hand. His face was carved like a stone, his eyes cold. Where are you coming from? He asked, his tone very low and sharp. Oluoma stopped in her tracks, startled. Papa, I was on my way to the farm, and then I met the prince. Dicki fled up. Shut your mouth. So it is true. he thundered. Oloma's smile dissolved. Her breath caught. Dicki was furious. I did not raise a daughter who throws herself at a man like a market girl, he roared. Look at you. Is this how I raised you? Luring the prince like a common harlot? Papa, Oloma whispered, eyes wide with shock. Dicki shook his head. I'm so disappointed in you, Oloma. You decided to embarrass me before the villagers. Oloma shook her head, her lips trembling. No, Papa, I will never. Keep quiet. So you think because he's a prince and he smiled at you, you are now the queen of Amani? Is that it? Oloma blinked, confused, and at the same time her heart shattered. The words hit her like stones. Her knees weakened. Tears filled her eyes, instantly spilling down her face as she stood frozen. Her father, her one safe place, was now tearing her down like everyone else. Leave my sight before I do something you will regret, Dicki spat. Without another word, Oloma turned and ran to her room. Her chest burned, her heart shattered into pieces. She knew she would be scolded for returning home late, but never did she expect to hear such words from her father's mouth. She knew for sure that this was definitely Chima's doing. She had seen the way Chima had tried to throw herself at the prince and got ignored. She realized there that Chima had not changed one bit. She was still as bitter as she remembered, and somehow it did not hurt her so much. What pained her the most was the fact that her father had believed everything he was told. She sighed deeply. Her dream was not real after all. It was probably born out of sorrow and loneliness. All through the night and the following morning, Chima sat holed up in her room. No part of the house felt welcoming. At the moment, she needed to be alone and lick her wound in peace. Back in the palace, Prince Nnamdi was still basking in the joy that being with Oloma that day had brought him. He had never expected such an encounter that day, but it was one encounter he was thankful to the gods for. Oloma was not just beautiful. She had this calm spirit that could be spotted from even afar. It was what had drawn him in. And then speaking to her, she was intelligent and very easy to flow with. He knew that he had found exactly what he was looking for. And even though he had only just met her, something inside him told him that she was the one for him. The next day, Prince Nnamdi could not hold himself anymore. He got ready and made his way to Dicki's compound. His heart was full of hope, like a man who had just found new love. He could not wait to see her again, to speak with her, to hear her laugh once more. But as he entered the compound, the first person he saw was Chima. Everywhere was silent. Chima, being Chima, smiled widely and rushed to greet him. Ah, what perfect timing, she thought. This was her chance to serve Oloma a taste of her own medicine, she thought to herself. My prince, welcome, she said, curtsying low. Good day, the prince replied, looking around. I came to see Oloma. Is she around? Chima's face fell. She sighed deeply, placing her hand on her chest. Ah, Oloma. My prince, she's not here. Oh. She's not here. She has been taken to the next village this morning for treatment. The prince looked surprised. Taken for what? Is she okay? I saw her yesterday. She was perfectly fine. Chima shook her head slowly, her face filled with sadness. My prince, I don't blame you. Anyone who even sees her would think that she was normal. Unfortunately, it's not always as it seems, oh. The prince looked confused. What do you mean? Chima stepped closer and lowered her voice like she was about to reveal a great secret. My prince, Oluoma looks normal, but she has a very strange and dangerous disease. She has epilepsy. The prince's eyes widened. What? What? Epilepsy, oh, my prince. Epilepsy, Chima said with a pitiful look. And it's not a small one, very serious. In fact, last night it nearly killed her. She almost jumped into the fire. It took 4 of us, including our brothers, to hold her down. If you touch her when it starts, if you're not careful, she can bite off your finger or even knock out your teeth. Sometimes it even affects her brain. Prince Nnamdi's face fell. He could not believe what he was hearing. That is very bad. Very bad, oh. Very bad. Very, very terrible. In fact, sometimes it affects her brain. See, so when it happens, she'll just fall down and start shaking and start shaking. Then her face begins to twist. Then her eyes looks strange. And then there are things coming out from her mouth. Hold on, the prince interrupted. It's okay, I understand what it is. My prince, Chima continued, I'm just telling you this because she's my sister and I won't want to embarrass our family in public. And also, you know, you are the heir to the throne. Imagine I didn't tell you the truth now and you end up settling for her as your bride. Maybe on the day of your marriage, she might fall down, shaking in front of the entire kingdom. And worse, your children may inherit it. What a big shame that would be. The prince looked away heartbroken. His mind began to race. Had his heart misled him? How could someone so calm and sweet carry such a sickness without showing it? He turned again to Chima. This epilepsy, is there no way to cure it? Chima shook her head sadly, almost shedding tears. Cure? There is no cure. There is no cure. She was born that way. We have taken her to many healers and our father has spent a fortune. Still, nothing. It's a very sad story. The prince bowed his head. It felt like he had hit a brick wall. His thoughts went back and forth. And still, his heart was in turmoil. Chima stood there watching him silently. When she saw the pain in his eyes, she smiled to herself. In her mind, she thought, Oluoma has no idea what is coming her way.